Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Miss Ritika Jayaswal, who is the founder of Nourish Mantra, which is a D2C brand for hair care and skin care. Hi Ritika, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. Very nice to be here and lovely chatting with you today.
I would first ask you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. My name is Ritika Jayaswal, and I am the founder of Nourish Mantra. We are a skincare and hair care brand where we are blending ancient Indian wisdom with modern science.
Okay. And a little bit detail about Nourish Mantra, as in what kind of products we sell, what kind of people we target to, or who are our ideal customers. In any such details would you like to share?
Sure. So, Nourish Mantra was founded in Jan 2020, and we launched the brand in the US first. That's where I live. I live in New York. And we launched the brand in the US, and soon after, we launched it in India. It just so happened that our focus, India is taking a lot of our focus now, seeing the growth potential there. Right now, we have also sold to a few other countries, but India and USA remain our primary focus. In our product range, we started with skincare and recently got into hair care, and we are still exploring our categories in expanding into hair care. And in our bestsellers, our hair oil has been received very well. And based on that, and based on all of the months' research that we put together, we have recently launched a hair growth serum, which again is getting great feedback.
Got you. Curious to know how did it all start? With what goal or with what idea did you start? Why did you start this venture?
So living in the US, and I'm in New York, so we New Yorkers feel like we can achieve everything, and it was a very hectic lifestyle that I was living, where I was putting my physical and mental needs on the back burner. So not taking enough breaks, or sleep was all over the place, stress management, all of that. And all of this, I was discussing. I'm very close to my grandfather. I call him Baba. So I would discuss this with Baba, and he comes from that mindset. Like, he was like, all of the home remedies he would recommend. So ye laga lo, ye kha lo. So all those things I would discuss with him. And then in my next trip to India, I was sitting with him, and he convinced me to go to Kerala, meet with some Ayurvedic practitioners that he was introducing me to. And so I did that. I went to Kerala. I stayed there for a few weeks, experienced all of those ancient treatments firsthand. And I could see the impact it made on my health, physical and mental. And then I thought to myself that this is great, and how do I make this as an easy format, where it's because it was a very great realization that how you feel on the inside, it shows on the outside. So even though we are a skincare and hair care brand, we are all about holistic wellness, and that is the reason, that is the idea behind it, that when you feel good on the inside, you look good on the outside.
Right.
Because when you're stressed, you'll see acne breakouts, you'll see hair fall. So those things it's inside, outside beauty, it's all connected. So that's how it started. I went from Kerala back to the US, and I met with some doctors, some formulators. The idea was to create a blend, because when I also looked at the market around me, so there are brands focusing on the really traditional remedies, and then there are brands with a very modern approach with modern acids and stuff. So I thought to myself that there is no one really filling that gap, where the focus should be on holistic wellness and targeted results. So that was the blended approach was the unique idea. And it's how we call it, it's truly the innovation for the modern consumer, that we live our hectic lives, we have so many responsibilities, we are juggling through so many things. So how do we make holistic wellness a part of your skincare and hair care routine? And that's how Nourish Mantra was born. It was truly a teamwork between age-old wisdom of my grandfather and my modern lifestyle. So it's truly a blend like that.
Okay. Um, how did you formulate the products? So the big brands like Unilever and PNG, they spend a lot of money and millions of dollars to, first research about a product and then formulate it and then do market testing and everything, and then a product comes to market. But for a D2C brand, I think it will be a very expensive affair. So would love to know what process did you go through to formulate these products or come up with the products that will be useful for your customers.
So initially, I worked with some formulators in the US as well as in India. There are many ingredients, natural ingredients, very commonly available also, but the right potency is needed or the right quality is needed because the quality of the final product is dependent on the quality of the ingredient. So identifying the right suppliers who are doing the right extractions, that is more of it's more of research and talking to people rather than researching on developing a new molecule. So we used ingredients that we saw are beneficial for our health, who also, and it's not just short-term benefits but have long-term benefits. So based on that, we created our formulations. In our products, you'll see a very unique combination where we are using traditional ingredients with some modern, like modern day ingredients. So just it was a lot of R&D at our end, making different formulations, seeing what formulations are being stable, where we are seeing results. And then the other part is testing it out on people. So it definitely is my friends and family who are my guinea pigs, where I would have a new product and I would collect feedback. So that's how it started. That was like the first step. Now that we are a certain size, we have a more structured way to do it.
Okay. Once you had the products ready, you had tested it on your friends and family. How did you go to market? How did you find the first set of customers? And so starting a D2C brand is not easy because the customers don't know about you yet. So how did you cannot simply launch a website and start selling. You need to, convince the customer, tell them about the value that you are providing, why they should buy from you. So how did you go about that?
So yes, selling is really hard, and especially in a very cluttered market like beauty. And so it is actually a very 360-degree approach. So having the right website, right messaging, it starts from the product itself, the product, the packaging, the messaging, and website. We started online. So when we launched, the plan was to go offline because that's where my background is from. Okay. But we launched the brand in Jan 2020, and Feb 2020, everything shut down. So then we had to quickly pivot to online. So it took us some time to make that change. So it was almost about August of 2020 when we were live on different platforms. So one was meeting with these channel partners and listing the products. It was also getting all of the messaging, the creatives right. And then when we had the process of customer acquisition, it's difficult and it's never ending because you always want to expand your customer base. So it was the whole 360-degree approach with a combination of digital ads. So people were spending a lot of time on social media, so ads over there. Then doing some talking to journalists, and so if we can amplify the message behind the brand. So PR was a big thing. Sampling in beauty, sampling is big because a lot of times people want to use it to understand how it's impacting their skin. So sampling was a part. And then there are other channels for retention and repeat orders. So email marketing, now it's WhatsApp marketing. So those things, it's not one channel. And we are also at a place where we are getting into offline. So we are already in some offline stores in Delhi NCR region where they cater to natural and organic products. So in those stores, there's also a chance of in-store marketing in different ways. So it's not one thing, it's a whole ecosystem.
Got you. Um, you said you tried a lot of things, did a lot of experiments, and when you do that, you tend to discover some ways where there is a right fit, and you acquire a lot of customers without spending much. We call them growth hacks. So, was there any such hacks that you discovered while acquiring customers?
We still try to test a lot, and that's what we did even in early stages. The whole idea of testing is there are certain messaging that resonate to one section of audience. So running targeted communication. So for example, even if you, just a vague example like weather, weather in North India in colder months versus in South India, it's different. So how do we really target people with the right messaging that will resonate with them? So, and there are also different, say, skin types. So a product or an ad or a message that will resonate with someone with dry skin will not work with someone with, say, acne prone skin. So I think testing has been a big part of us. And we are constantly testing not just our ads, but also we have also started to test products. So we are getting into sampling, but still a bigger number, so we can sample it with more people. And that is how we are growing right now.
Got you. Would be curious to know about your early life. How did every event in your life led to entrepreneurship? Why entrepreneurship?
So I grew up in a family business setup, and after I finished my education, I joined my family business. And for the first 5 years of my career, I was working with my family, with my father. And the family business is in iron and steel manufacturing, so a completely different sector in industrial goods. And my calling was always in consumer products. I wanted to be in very close to the consumer, the final consumer. And that with that calling, I decided to come to Parsons in New York. I took a course in that, so that it allows me to get experience in consumer products and retail. After that, I started working in New York. I was in apparel for a little bit. Then I moved to a company that made beauty accessories, and I was managing their global distribution. So it was a few things that came together. So my background in entrepreneurship, so I always knew I wanted to do something on my own. Then the experience I was able to gain being in New York and seeing the global beauty industry. And around that time, I was personally going through a journey where I got into Vipassana, and overall my mental health took a toss. So I realized that my interest in holistic wellness was increasing, and my experience in beauty. And at that time, I also saw this gap in the market. So everything came together, and I decided to quit my job and take the plunge.
You said you went through Vipassana. I would like to ask you questions around that. Can you tell us how does yoga, meditation, and entrepreneurship go gel with each other, or can complement each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Vipassana for me was such a life-changing experience. I've been to Vipassana centers a few times. I've also worked in their kitchen, I've done seva there. So I try to take some time out for that. It does get difficult because there's a commitment of 10 days when you go there for a course. And being an entrepreneur, staying away from the business for 10 days without any communication, it's a scary thought. But I do think it was a great initiative at that time that I actually did it, and somebody recommended it to me, and I went with it. because as an entrepreneur, it's almost like you're working round the clock. Because if there is a pressing need, it's not like, okay, today's Saturday, I will take care of it on Monday. It's usually like, because it's your own baby, you want to address it as soon as possible. So it's not the right way to do it, but we often do it. And I have to remind myself also that I need to take enough breaks. And so Vipassana gave me that perspective, that how our mind, body, soul, they're all connected. So, and it is true that if I'm stressed and if I don't know the techniques of stress management, how it will start showing, it will trickle down and then it starts collecting. So for every entrepreneur, I think it's as much as you need to know the basics of accounting and marketing. It's also you need to know how to take breaks and how to time yourself, how to know when to stop. And that is such a difficult task. But I think yoga and meditation gives that, they give that outlet for any person to understand that how important it is to feel connected with yourself. Because if you don't feel good, you cannot bring your best to your team, to your business, to your work.
Yeah. Speaking of stress management, can you tell us, in between works you may get overloaded with tasks, or you may get overwhelmed with too many meetings, or can be anything. How do you manage such situations when you have too much stress?
So definitely Vipassana technique comes handy. So I know that even if I'm going through just stress causing phase at my work, just 20 minutes of practicing Vipassana, it definitely gives me that fresh morning start. And other things are more about organizing that, and it's different for different people. It could be making notes, it could be just reminders. There are little things that I keep reading, all of these inspirational things or all of these tips and tricks. Somewhere I read that when you write it down and once a task is done, you make a check and you scratch it off, so your brain takes that as success in something, you finish something. So these are the little techniques that I use. Also, another thing is because I live in New York and my team is in India, so there's also a time difference. So I, for sure, every night I put my phone on DND because I need those hours to sleep peacefully, so that I'm able to be productive next morning. So just these little things that I practice.
Gotcha. Tell us about the different challenges that you have faced so far while building and growing this venture.
That's a long list. But I do think a big challenge is to find the right people to join the team, the right talent, because as a startup, we don't have unlimited funds. So we have to also build the team in a way where we are cost effective. It makes sense for the business. The other thing is, but we want to nurture the team and hire the right people. And I always say this, that skill set is one thing, but for a startup or for any company for that matter, culture fit is very important. So finding the right talent, but also finding the right people who are able to gel in the culture of the company well. So that is important. So I think in general, HR is a big challenge because it's never ending. You keep on doing that. The other challenge is being in a D2C business, cost of customer acquisition has gone through the roof now. So it has become all the more crucial to think of innovative ways of acquiring new customer. So just thinking of creative ideas or creative messaging. So that has been a constant challenge. How do we keep testing new things? And other than that, lastly, I would say also to get repeat orders. There are now with technology, with automation, we can nudge the customer, because in our business in skincare and hair care, we calculate the lifetime value, LTV of any customer. It's not just the one purchase that they make, because that is there is some cost of customer acquisition that goes behind it. So we want to ensure that we get repeat business from them, and that is how we justify high CAC right now.
Got you. Uh, do you have any experience around fundraising?
Right now, no, we are bootstrapped, and we will open up to fundraising soon, but we are still waiting for the right time, because as they say that fundraising too early or too late is not good. So we're trying to find the right time for that.
Right. Speaking of the right time, when would you recommend for, let's say, one of our listener is a founder and he's also contemplating when to raise funds. So, how would you recommend? What is the right time for a venture to raise fund?
So there are multiple things that come at play with that. There are brand founders who raised seed fund because they have a great idea and then they need some funds to take that off the ground. Then there are other ones that there's no right time that one that me as a person can say, because it will I will have multiple other questions to decide the right time for that brand. But it is also that once you have a good, you know that you have a product market fit, that's when it's a good time to know that, okay, now if you infuse more funds, then you will be able to scale. But getting that product market fit at the beginning is very important, because otherwise if that's missing, even no matter how much you infuse, you will not see the same kind of scaling.
Okay. Is there a way to measure product market fitment? And can you tell us where we are at Nourish Mantra in terms of product market fitment?
So product market fit, there are depending again on the category, it's different depending on category, meaning the product category. It could be different for say a tech platform, different for a food company, different for a beauty company. But a good way, a very ballpark way to measure it could be that you give your product out to 100 people, and then you get their survey, their feedback. And and people also should like the product enough so they're comfortable recommending it to someone. So there are different scales that you can measure it with, but depending on the category, that will change.
That is true. That is true. Uh, my last few questions, in fact, I just have two questions left. Tell us, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
So entrepreneurship is a commitment. So uh, it's not a commitment that unfortunately is not driven by the day of the week or the time of the day. It is a commitment wherein it has to feel as a part of you, because otherwise you won't be doing justice to yourself, your team, your brand. Because even for example with Nourish Mantra, it came out of a personal journey. So and then I was able to resolve something. In fact, even the name, we came up with the name accordingly, where Nourish Mantra, meaning mantra is something that you chant often, right? That is like a Sanskrit word. So that is taking from my roots, my heritage, and nourish being an English word. So it's again showing the blended approach of our brand. So that journey for me, entrepreneurship has been all about commitment, all about creativity, and it's about wearing a lot of hats because you have to dip your fingers into every department.
My last question. So when you are an entrepreneur, you tend to take a lot of initiatives and make a lot of decisions, and many a times you would end up in a failure situation where things where you realize that it was a mistake. And when that happens, you also learn a lesson as an entrepreneur. So can you tell us what are some of the major learnings or major lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur, which other entrepreneurs can take away and probably may avoid those mistakes, or take it as a learning for their journey?
I think what I personally practice is not be shy of pivoting quickly, because in a startup environment, how quickly you make decisions or how quickly you learn from your mistakes and pivot is needed. So the example that I gave, like a big issue at the beginning when we were all ready for going offline, and then pandemic happened, so we had to pivot to online because there were no offline stores open. So just making that decision, okay, what do we do next? What is the solution? This is a hurdle. How do we quickly overcome this? So and it is a lot of not dwelling over your mistakes, but like picking up the learning from it and moving on would be my suggestion to all fellow entrepreneurs out there.
Got you. On this note, I think we'll close the session. Thanks for your time, Ritika, and it was a great pleasure to have you on board.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me today.